Dr. Jazz.
Hey guys,
Dr.
Samo here.
Jazz.
Thanks for checking out the channel and its contents. And if you feel like it, please do subscribe. Thanks so much. Enjoy the video. Bye.
But
Nice.
you're in Berlin now, right? Or like
Yes.
half England in Berlin, or are you fixed in
Kind of
Berlin?
half, yeah. But
Okay.
I've got a flat here, which is great. I really like it. It's a kind of very nice, it's a very nice kind of base to have. It's really well
Yeah.
connected. There's lots of great musicians here. And it's cool to try living in a different country as well. So.
Absolutely. You're otherwise in London?
In London and also in Devon, which is where
Okay,
my
cool.
family is from. So
Oh, beautiful.
yeah.
It's a different vibe, right? Berlin now than London.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot more relaxed, that's for sure.
More gigs probably, also like local
And there's
gigs.
there's a lot of gigs, and it's
Yeah.
cool because there's so many I guess quite creative out there gigs as well. Lots
Yep.
of like free stuff, lots of original music. Not that there isn't that in London, obviously, but there just seems to be so much of it here, which is really cool considering it's a much smaller city. So
Yeah, yeah. I love Berlin. I mean, it's so nice,
Yeah.
beautiful. But I love the new album. I want to talk about the new album first of all. It's
Great.
killing. Jesus, it's like the tunes. I mean, I want to talk about the tunes later, but like, you guys sound like a band. I mean, it's really like tied together. What's the story about the new album? I mean, what was the process of writing and getting the group together? And
Oh, well, thank you. First of all, thanks so much for saying it sounds like a band. That's
oh,
really a
absolutely.
huge compliment. Yeah, I mean, and a band is certainly what it is. I mean, this project has been kind of, I guess, incubating, becoming what it is for the last 4 years. We played our first concert in 2021, I think. And it was just a very small club gig in like a nightclub in London. It's not even a jazz club, just a kind of pickup gig. And I just thought, oh, I'm just going to ask all my favorite musicians and see if they want to do it. And we had such a great time. And it kind of led to a couple more things, a couple more opportunities to play, especially in this kind of club standing venue type situation, which is something I hadn't done quite so much of. And also these guys are such amazing improvisers and they're so versatile that it meant we were able to basically use a few opportunities, having some gigs, having a residency in a nightclub of all places, all these different things to kind of really push ourselves, I suppose. Yeah. And I think that process of playing together live a lot prior to recording was, I mean, obviously everyone knows that's a big part of developing a band sound, but I think particularly doing so in a setting where it was quite rogue, it was quite random, it was quite a strange venue in many ways, but it meant that no one cared what we did, we could just go in
That's
there.
fantastic, actually, yeah.
It was awesome, yeah. I mean, you could go in there and you could do a feedback solo on the guitar for 5 minutes and the people would just be kind of dancing anyway. It was super, super strange, but really fun. And I kind of used these gigs. I think we had 10 over the course of a summer and then a few more kind of other places as a kind of prompt to be like, okay, I'm going to bring a new tune this week, I'm going to try some stuff out. And it grew very organically in that way. And it was always the same band. It was always like a lot of improvising and we rehearsed so much. And that's one of the most amazing things about this group is the willingness to be so generous with their time. Because I think, we were just coming out of the pandemic and people weren't touring internationally as much for sure. And, I think it was very lucky that I was able to kind of somehow bring this amazing group of musicians together and they were all at a point where they felt able to give so much of their time. And so we spent hours and hours rehearsing. I think our first kind of main headline show was at the Jazz Cafe in London Jazz Festival 2022. And we'd done this residency beforehand, slowly kind of building up a repertoire. And just for this one Jazz Cafe gig alone, I think we did 4 or 5 4-hour rehearsals.
Wow.
And like, you know, we were just kind of like, oh, do you feel like rehearsing again? Yeah. It wasn't a kind of intense, like, we're going to do 16 hours of rehearsal. It was more like everyone was really invested. And so when I brought a new piece of music, they'd say, okay, I really like this bit. How about we try moving this by a semiquaver? You know, it was this really crazy, minute attention to detail coupled with this real kind of sense of abandon in the improvising. And that's something that's such an amazing combination, I think, and something that when coupled with, you know, that experience of touring and playing together a lot, and, you know, getting to know each other as people for 3 years before we even thought about going into the studio, was, yeah, I think it's a very unique situation to be in, because I think it's very difficult to get musicians together for that many hours. And also just, you know, to be able to really take your time getting the music right before you even think about the studio is also a luxury in this day and age, I think.
It's a luxury, yeah, that's a good word. Privilege, yeah, that you can do that, actually. Yeah. That's amazing, yeah.
So it kind of just, it became what it is very organically and at its own pace. And everyone in the band is very responsible for the sound, I would say. I feel like this is much less a kind of record where I'm a leader and much more a kind of real group effort. You know, so many of the ideas came from different people in the band, and some of those ideas sounded small but actually had a huge impact on the direction that we took. So it feels really nice to be at the point where we're releasing it, because I think everyone hopefully feels that sense of ownership as well, like the sense that their investment means that it's theirs as well, which is something that I really like. Yeah,
it's like I said, it sounds like a group, you know, like the elder guys, you know, Coltrane, Miles, they all had working bands. They actually toured like for months, right? Our generation or your generation, it's like, yeah, it's kind of hard to get like, you know, a month tour together. I mean, it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So that you were able to do that, that's amazing, you know, that's fantastic, actually.
It was great. It was really good fun.
How are you as a band leader? I mean, you're so young still, and you sound so mature as a composer and as a player, and you know, you have these older guys in the band, and how does this come to you? Like, was that natural in the beginning also, or like how have you evolved through the years, like the band leading?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, first of all, thank you. That's very kind. I think I've always just really kind of felt this strong desire to be in a room with people who are better than me. You know, to always play with people that push me and encourage me to be better, not just as a musician, but as a person as well. And I think that band leading, being an improvising musician, working together, it's all very tied in, not just how good you are musically, obviously, but also how you're able to connect to other people. And, you know, being a leader of any kind is obviously challenging regardless of what you're doing. But when you're trying to lead a group at the same time as being really democratic and really welcoming and warm, but also very focused and giving a direction, it's really hard. It's a hard balance to strike. And it's something that I think about a lot in the kind of situations when I'm recording or when I'm on tour, if I'm even just rehearsing a band for one gig. I think I really want to cultivate a really good atmosphere here. I want there to be a really joyful environment, you know, where everyone feels that their input is essential. And I think that's something I think about a lot, and it's something that I've also observed in practice from other great musicians that I really admire. And, you know, I also see it, you know, from people who might be in somebody else's band, but they're still bringing that kind of, that attitude of really uplifting everyone else around them. And, you know, I think I always just thought, well, you know, there are these musicians I really want to play with. A lot of them are older than me. A lot of them are more experienced than me, and they've been around longer and know more people and are just generally, you know, further along in that kind of journey. And I just felt, you know, I really want to play with these people. And a lot of the time I thought, oh, they won't want to play with me. But then I tried to adopt this attitude of the worst they can say is no. Absolutely. And so I generally try to just reach out to the people that I feel like I have a gut feeling that we'd have a great musical connection. And that's what I try to focus on. And I've been really lucky because those, you know, some of those individual connections with other musicians have led to different things. Like one of my most important important musical collaborators is, I think, a mutual friend of ours, Asaf Sirkis.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, you know, he's someone I think we've played. I worked out we played like 100 gigs together.
Really? I didn't know that. But
yeah, and like he's like, you know, someone he's one of the musicians I really admire and look up to, and having spent so much time on the road with him has taught me so much. And, you know, in turn, he's been, oh, why don't you try checking this out? Why don't you try playing with this person? Or he's, you know, helped me view my own music in a different way by the way that he approaches it. And I've had that experience with a few people. And I think that's just once again kind of reinforced the idea that, you know, playing with people who have so much more wisdom than you is a huge gift. So I think that's what I'm thinking about most of the time, is like how I can possibly create musical situations where I get to be around these people and play with these people, and then that often leads to yet more really inspiring situations where I feel like I can learn a lot from the people around me. But definitely, I mean, like, band leading is hard. It's really hard, and it's like there has to be no ego attached to it really for it to function in its best possible way, which is challenging because I think a lot of people go into the idea of band leading kind of motivated by ego, because it's my name and it's my project and this is my career and everything. And it's not that that's not true, but it's like, if you want the band to be really great, then that's an obstacle more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I do try and remember that a lot when I'm, you know, on tour and I'm tired, or I'm in the studio and I'm feeling self-conscious about one of my solos or something. I'm like, okay, it's all right. You know?
Yeah.
But it's cool. I mean, it's great to have so many opportunities to just continue doing it, because every single gig I do, I think I learn something else. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that, or maybe I should do that, or wow, I didn't think of that, I should try that again, you know. But yeah, it's a journey, I guess.
It's a journey, yeah. I remember my first band leading was like, oh, dude. You know, when I think about it back, like, what have you done? You know, like organizing a tour, getting hotels together, stuff like. Anyway.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
It's hard. You have to learn, and you know, you learn from the older musicians. Like, they tell you, like, maybe you should not do that, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Totally, and it's like how you calibrate what you even understand to be normal or expected, or even with very basic things like you know, super basic touring things. Like, sometimes at some point you have to be told those things by someone else who's been around longer than you. And I was so lucky that the people who told me those things were very kind people. They were like, oh, just so you know, you should try doing this, you should try that. It's like, great information, thank you, because it would be so much worse to not know, you know.
Yeah, it's funny, like there's no book, right? Like, I mean, I have many students, and like, obviously, if you tell them from experience how you're touring, then they learn. But if people study at universities, there's like no course like touring or setting up or lunch breaks or, you know, meeting in the lobby. Like, I mean, that's really important stuff, you know, to learn. And
I know, it's like, I almost think there should be a module on it or something, like things you really need to know.
Oh, absolutely. Emma, I wanted to ask you about your compositions. I just love the tunes, and rhythm seems to be like such a strong aspect of your playing, especially on this album. I mean, lots of repetitive motions, and like, where does this come from? I mean, this rhythmical aspect of your music. It sounds like Steve Reich at certain stages, but more complex. But
wow, that's amazing. That's cool. I've never heard that before, but I'll take it. Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because I'm someone that's really interested in rhythmic music, rhythmically propelled music where rhythm is very important. You know, jazz music, Indian classical music, Irish folk music, you know, like Brazilian music, rock music, you know, all these things where rhythm to varying degrees is very, very central to the sound. You know, that's the stuff I really love. But I think I'm also someone who's quite self-conscious about my rhythmic ability, which is a funny combination, because I think I've always been someone who's writing music or trying to write music that has this level of rhythmic complexity that maybe I can't quite play yet. Which is it's an interesting feeling, being like, I created this problem for myself.
That's good. That's how we solve
Yeah,
it, right? Yeah.
sure. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I think I try to think about rhythm a lot when I'm improvising, for sure, because I think ultimately the more I think about it, that's it. That's the thing. That's the most important thing, pretty much beyond anything else. In terms of communicating with other people, not just within the band, but with the audience, with the people listening to the record at home. And I think also playing with people like Asaf and Jamie and Kevin and David and all these people, they have such incredible rhythmic sensibilities themselves that even maybe subconsciously, that's something that I start to kind of think about and try to respond to in the moment. But also this album is definitely one that's propelled by groove. And I think that I don't know whether that was deliberate or not. I guess it kind of came out of playing together in this nightclub atmosphere where the way we were playing and communicating with the audience was kind of linked to dance in a way. It wasn't like we were trying to play dance music, but I guess there's a natural gravitation towards music with a strong rhythmic element when people are literally dancing to what you're doing. So I would imagine that influenced the way I was writing and playing even 3 years ago. And then that kind of, developing over time has kind of become something else. But yeah, I mean, I love groove music, and I think especially coming out of the London scene where it's not all of the scene, and I'm always keen to like mention that in interviews when people bring up the kind of new wave of British jazz, that obviously Afrobeat isn't the entirety of British jazz, but it's also a very important part of the recent development of improvised music and jazz in the UK. I think I maybe had some hang-ups about that, kind of thought, well, I don't want to just do that and then think that have people think that I'm just doing that because I've been living in London and and it's funny the kind of mental circles you can get yourself into when you're just making music. But ultimately, I feel really good about what's come out because it felt like pretty uninfluenced by any of those things. It just became what it was. And I've got to the point where I'm like, yeah, some of it's groove music, and that's cool actually. I like that stuff, and I feel a little bit more able to say that now. Weirdly,
absolutely, yeah.
I don't know why those things happen, but I'm sure they happen for everyone.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about two tunes specifically. First is Portrait of Today. Like, what's happening there? I mean, what's I mean, there's a lot of layers there. What's the tune? I mean,
I don't know, honestly. I'm trying to think what came first. I think it was probably just the melody and then the chords, like out of time. And this was actually a tune I had trouble finishing. I don't know why specifically, but it's definitely one of my more, I guess, idiosyncratic tunes, just because I look at it now and I'm like, I don't really know where that came from. I don't understand the logic behind these things. It's kind of, I suppose, like looking at it now in a kind of more removed way, you could think, oh, this is quite math-y. It's kind of Frank Zappa-ish in certain ways with the time signatures, but it's got this, I don't know, it's got this kind of like alternate tuning harmony thing, but I wanted a singable melody. It's just like, it's super weird. And I think there are about like 10 different time signatures in that tune, and they keep changing, and then the solos are in 4/4.
Yeah, at least something, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But I was writing it and I just kind of couldn't finish it, and then it's funny because that tune is actually the first big band chart I ever wrote, and I found that I needed to think of it as a big band chart before I could finish it as a small group chart, which is very weird, and I don't entirely understand why that is. But yeah, it's one that I really enjoy playing now, actually. It was difficult. It's a difficult one to get together because it's very detailed. But yeah, it's a very difficult one to explain because you're right, there are so many layers. And if I was just presented this piece of music as if it was written by someone else, I'd probably be like, what is that?
It's fantastic. I love it. I mean, I love odd meters and stuff. So I was really like what? What's going on there? You know,
I think
it's
also the other thing,
fantastic.
I suppose, I just forgot that there's the soli element of it, which is kind of chaotic and really difficult. And that was written much later. That was written
Okay.
for the album recording because I thought I'd love, just because everyone is so technically brilliant at their instruments, and it's kind of fizzing with this kind of potential for incredible improvisation the whole way through. And I thought, oh, it'd be amazing to kind of come together in this moment of like real excitement, this kind of peak.
Yeah.
And so I was writing this soli, I think when I was on tour in Germany. So I was writing it kind of mentally on the train, like scribbling down ideas. And as a result, it's not very idiomatic on any instrument because I wasn't sitting at the piano, I didn't have the saxophone. So then when we were rehearsing, I was like, oh, this is really awkward, Emma. I was like, sorry, guys. But everyone sounds amazing on it, so it's really cool.
It's amazing. And the other one is Moondrawn, the bridge section, like around 2 minutes or something. Like this arpeggio with pianos distorted or synths or was that improvised or is that written out actually? It sounds both kind of. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but
Well, yeah, this was the tune I wrote latest. That was also, we hadn't ever performed that when we went into the studio. I just had written it for like some kind of exercise actually, just to try and kind of come up with something. And then we thought, oh, let's have it, let's do it. And we played it for the first time, and it basically like went from this vaguely kind of spacey Radiohead inspired thing into a shred section.
I love it.
And Scotty was playing felt piano on the kind of first bit because I loved that sound, and I specifically said, oh, I really want that. And then it went into the mid, whatever that is, the crazy section, the heavy metal thing. And he was just like improvising these arpeggios, and because it was on the felt piano, when we were in the studio, we couldn't hear it at the time. He was just playing it, just doing this. I don't know how he even came up with it. And then we were listening back, and I was like, what is that? And then we just turned it up, and Scotty was just like absolutely shredding through it, and we've got to hear this somehow. And so we thought, well, the only way we're going to get it to cut through is by putting some kind of effect on it. So it's distorted felt piano, which is a texture I never would have imagined using. But that was the great thing about the process of making the album, was it was so open and creatively kind of free, I guess, that these sort of things were able to happen. And we're like, oh, all right, cool, that's in there now. And it was a really kind of joyful feeling of like discovering the music as we were recording it. Even though we'd done all this preparation and we knew we were going to do this and this and this, there were still all these surprises that came out of it. And that was one of them. And it's, Scotty's a testament to his technique, and also just to be that quick, to have this idea and then just play it. And every time he plays it, it's different. So it's just, which is amazing. That, the same feeling, but he's not come up with a thing, which I love even more, because it's really that the element of kind of risk is like, oh gosh, we're doing this live. There's no the risk is there.
Because it sounds composed in a way. I mean, now he said it's improvised basically, but at the same time it sounds improvised. It's hard to say. It's like, but it was really, it's like a moment you're listening, like, oh, dude, what's happening here now? Like, like this in your face thing. Like, I love it. Maybe I'm a guitarist, that's why I love that moment. It just somehow sounds very metal-like.
I mean, the guitar is so important in that music. Like, I don't think we could do those gigs without guitar. And David's sound really influenced the way we played that music, and he was also very involved in like the kind of post-production element of what we were doing as well, which was really great. It was awesome to do that with someone else in such a kind of focused way as well, because I've never really done that aside from the duo project with Gwilym, which was obviously a collaborative thing from the start. With Chroma and Incantation, it was like I was kind of doing it on my own, but with this one I really felt I've got like a partner in this process, which is great, because I'm really not very good at any of that kind of, I can't really use Pro Tools or Logic. That I'm really bad at that kind of thing. I should probably work on that, but at least for the time being, I'm a bit hopeless. So it felt amazing to kind of work on the music in such a detailed way with someone who's very adept at that.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Yeah. You mentioned Gwilym. I mean, he's of course one of the players in the UK scene. I mean, Europeans, you know, I'll put it like that. And how did you hook up with him? And I love the duo album, that Big Visit. I mean, it's so nice that you contributed compositions, and I see you're touring with him quite a lot, actually, in Germany and everything. Like, what's your story with him?
Well, I mean, he's another person who I felt like the worst he can say is no about, because I mean, his music and his playing has been a huge source of inspiration to me since, like, long before I met him, long before I was really playing the saxophone. Actually, I think I was kind of listening to his solo piano stuff, especially for quite a while. And also, of course, he went to the same institutions as me. Like a generation earlier, he went to Cheetham School of Music and also Royal Academy of Music, which are the places that I studied. And so obviously, you know, because he's so brilliant and successful, we're all very aware of him, you know, when those of us studying there. And occasionally he would come in to do a workshop or whatever, and he actually was doing this really big band project for as a kind of 40th birthday thing, and it was a bit delayed because of COVID, but that was kind of great for me because it meant I got to be part of it. And it was at the Royal Academy. He came in with all this new music specially written for it, and it was a really intense project, really difficult music, but it was just so much fun. And there were moments when we were playing together, and I just thought, this is literally incredible. And we had such a good time on the project, and it was finished. And I said, like, would you fancy playing a bit more? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And I had been discussing a residency at the Pizza Express with the booker there at the time. And I kind of vaguely mentioned, I've just been doing this project at the Academy with Gwilym. He's like, well, why don't you do a duo gig at the Pizza? And I said, I mean, I'll ask Gwilym and see if he wants to, because I kind of, in my head, I was like, no, he's not going to. He was like doing duo stuff with Pat Metheny. He's not going to want to do that with me. And luckily, he was really up for it. And we were preparing for this gig, and I think we have quite a similar approach to preparing for stuff. We're kind of maximalists in that way. We both want to practice a lot, rehearse a lot, and write new music for it, and talk about it, and kind of really plan. And so we did a lot of rehearsal. Every time I was in Berlin, we would rehearse. Every time he was in London, we would rehearse. And we were just preparing for this first duo gig, you know, like a low-key club gig, basically. And our label was like, oh, we want that album. And we were like, what album? We haven't even talked about an album. But I guess because we were both on the same label, they thought this would be great. And that really set the ball rolling for us when we started thinking about how we could put together a set of music that felt very unique, like it kind of reflected both of our shared influences, like contributing music and everything. And because, you know, he's an amazing writer. He writes so quickly as well. He just was able to be like, here's a new tune, here's a new tune, here's a new tune. And I was like, I can't keep up with this. But it was brilliant. And the album making process was so relaxed and so positive. I'd had such a good time, and I still feel really, really good about that record. Yeah, great. Yeah. And that's kind of funny because it's so exposed. It's way more exposed than anything I've ever done, you know. And it also, that's not to say I don't listen to it and think, oh God, I need to practice. You know, I need to sort this out, as everyone would, I'm sure. But it was so positive, and it's like given me a new kind of impetus to really try and create that situation, like what we were talking about before with band leading and creating an environment in the studio. Gwilym's a master of that. So it kind of makes me think, okay, I need to aim for that always. And we've got lots of plans to kind of record more and work together more in that kind of partnership in the future, not just in duo, but we were talking about doing some large ensemble stuff together and writing together. And I think we're both really keen to make that happen. But it's great. It's great having that very acoustic project at the same time as Inkyra as well. It's like, it's really interesting to do both. It's definitely a slightly different mindset.
It's nice to hear you, like you said, in this more intimate setting. it's very like you're out there in the open. Like in the band, you can, I mean, not you directly, but like a person can slightly like
Yeah.
rely on the drummer or whatever. Here you're like, okay, shit, you have to be there, otherwise
I know it's
it's
scary.
heavy. It's
It's
heavy.
scary, but
Yeah,
it's lovely actually. It's
it's
really,
amazing. Yeah,
and it's a very supportive environment as well. Like you're aware that you're very exposed, but you're also aware that like, I'm kind of like Gwilym's going to catch me. If I make a mistake, he's going to hear it and it's going to be fine. He's so brilliant that it's going to be fine.
yeah, yeah. How did the connection with act music happen? I mean, this is like we're talking probably next to ECM, one of the biggest or the biggest, most important jazz label the last 30 years. I'll put it like that. But how did this story with act begin?
Sure. I mean, I'd been aware of ACT for a while, of course, because I mean, I loved EST and
Yeah.
Gwilym's music and Marius Neset and loads besides. So I was kind of already aware of that. And I didn't really think I would be on a label. I'd self-released my first album, and I kind
Yeah.
of thought, oh, I don't know if I want to be on a label. I'm pretty sure no labels are going to want to release my music, so I'll just carry on with the self-releasing thing and decide. And I kind of had this notion of being fiercely independent and doing it all myself, and kind of being also almost like against this system of labels and agents and everything. Mainly because I hadn't had any experience of it, so I kind of thought, oh well, I'll just carry on doing my thing. And I just recorded Chroma, and I had gone to see Marius Neset perform with London Sinfonietta at the Proms at the Royal Albert Hall. And as it happened, I just got a text from Michael Gottfried, one of the great people that work at ACT. And he was like, hello, I am in London right now. Would you like to meet up and talk about what ACT do? And it turned out we were in the same building when he sent that text.
Mm.
And just like, oh, hello. And we met up for a coffee. He listened to the album that I'd literally just recorded a few months earlier and was currently figuring out what to do with. And he said, hey, listen, come out to Berlin. We'll chat about what we could do. And I got a really good vibe, and I also felt really good about this thing of having made an album like entirely on my own terms,
Yeah.
and then that being the first thing I would release on a label, because I think I always had this idea, this worry that if I worked with a label, I might be trying to fit into something that I hadn't originally intended. But because I didn't have to do that with the first record, I think I've not felt that pressure. And one of the great things about ACT is that it's such a creatively diverse label.
Yeah.
There's so much going on there. There's like, really kind of classical orientated acoustic stuff. And then there's funk and there's everything in between. And I think that made me feel like really able to just do what I felt was, truly what I wanted to do at that point. And it's been really cool. So we've released 3 albums together now. We're planning the next one right now. And it's cool. It's really, really good. And it's certainly opened up so many doors for me, coming from the UK and now being able to be present in a much wider European,
Germany, yeah. And, yeah.
because that's so difficult, especially increasingly for British musicians.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
very difficult to come to mainland Europe and work for many, many reasons. But I also think that even if it weren't for the B word, we would... but we're still quite isolated, I think, as a scene, and geographically, we're a little bit separate. So unless you either have help, as I'm very lucky to have, or you make a real effort to kind of reach out and make those connections, it can be very difficult to kind of make that leap. And that's been huge for me. It's completely changed my life in terms of my touring and my ability to travel and work with different people, meet different people. It's definitely been massively supported by that connection. So that's been really, really cool for me. And it's the reason I'm here in Berlin. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, why do you think it is that? Because like also when we tour, I mostly tour Germany, Austria, Switzerland, I don't know, Belgium, Netherlands. I played in the UK only once, or many friends of mine, it's so hard to get gigs in the UK. I mean, even
Really?
before, like, let's say 15 years ago, just the fees were lower, unless we're talking about festivals, but like, it's a very closed scene, which I find the musicians are not, obviously, as people and players. They're so open and amazing. Like,
Yeah. I know it's weird, right? Because there's so many incredible musicians, and there's actually really great audiences in the UK as well if it's presented in the right way. But I think the infrastructure just unfortunately isn't really there to support a scene that has much of an international component to it. Because, like you said, there's festivals, and when they have funding, that works and it's super cool. But the kind of grassroots, bread and butter aspect of the scene, the clubs, the volunteer-run things, it's just no support for it really, and it's become harder and harder to get support as well.
Interesting.
Not just for the clubs, but obviously for the musicians themselves. And so even for British musicians who can get gigs, touring is becoming something that's not viable anymore because it just costs too much to do, and no one can seem to figure out how you get the funding, which is very weird. And I really hope it's something that changes, because there's so many amazing creative people in the UK, and I know that if they were just given a bit more of a leg up, not even have someone do everything for them, but if it was just so that they weren't losing so much money every time they tried to do anything, then the scene would be even more vibrant and even more interesting than it is. So it's kind of, I'm hoping that will change somehow, because for sure that's one of the reasons I'm not spending all my time there anymore. Which is sad, because many of my favorite musicians are still there. But you know, I go back all the time, so I kind of get the best of both worlds. I'm very lucky to say that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, because in Germany there's like tons of jazz initiative, and you know, and every small village of 50,000 people has a gig, you know, jazz club, which pays actually
pretty well. I know,
pretty well, you know, considering everything. So it's bizarre. I mean,
it's very weird. I think. I think in not just in Germany, but probably especially in Germany, there seems to be a general appreciation for music and art that people have. You know, people will just come out to hear something they've never heard of, and they just kind of do it without questioning it. They're like, okay, yes, there's a concert, I'm going to go, I'm going to hear it, and then if I don't like it, it's not a failure. It's like they've still had an experience, and that in itself, I think, is really impressive to have that on like a national level. That's something I don't think we have in the same way in the UK, probably because people aren't made to believe early enough in life that kind of art and culture is for them, because they don't come into contact with it in a meaningful enough or frequent enough way. I think that's something that we could definitely work on.
Definitely. Emma, not to take too much of your time, but I wanted to ask you, like, growing up in the UK, I mean, I know so many players, like this, if we focus just on the saxophone, like from Evan Parker to John Butcher to the more traditional players, in a sense of, you know, Stan Saltzman, Mark Lockhart, Ian Bell. I mean, I can just go on, like, and I love all of them. Like, how was that like for you? Why did you start playing jazz actually? Did you hear those guys, or did you hear someone like, I don't know, Coltrane or Parker? How did this story happen with you for jazz? I mean,
well, I think I've said before for sure that I wouldn't be a jazz musician if it wasn't for Mark Lockhart, for sure.
Really? Oh wow, okay.
And it's in part because he played me the first jazz I ever heard, and I was on this summer school at Dartington International Summer School, which is sadly no more. But I went for many years just playing classical violin and just hanging out watching concerts. I was really obsessed with music as a kid, even before I came across jazz, and I wanted to hear Rachmaninoff and all that stuff, even though I didn't really understand it. And I decided to sign up for jazz course just because I'd heard a little bit. I thought it sounded cool. And I wasn't playing saxophone by this point, or I'd been playing for like a couple of months and I was just doing classical stuff. But I thought I'll go along because I really wish I could do that. I was 15 or something, and they were having a kind of listening session. And Mark played No More Blues from Double Rainbow, the Joe Henderson album. And I was already kind of familiar with Brazilian music and improvising in that sense because of kind of learning a bit about that at the same summer school in previous years. And so the element of Brazilian music made it very accessible to me. And as soon as I heard the sound of Joe Henderson's tenor, I just thought, oh my God, what is this? I have to get into this. I want that, whatever it is. And I remember saying to Mark, like, how do I do that? What is that? And he was like, Emma, you need to get a tenor, and you need to look at these jazz courses. like just get a tenor and do this. And he was so encouraging and lovely, and obviously such a brilliant player, and
Oh yeah.
he still has one of my favorite tenor sounds in the whole world. And occasionally he's kind enough to play in my big band, and when he takes solos on my music, I'm just like, whoa, what is this? So that was a really big part of it. That was a kind of personal kind of encouragement, like push in the right direction. But sure, around the same time I was listening to lots of Joe Henderson, lots of Wayne Shorter, Coltrane, you know, all the things you would expect. But then, you know, coming up through the kind of educational institutions in jazz in the UK, obviously I came into contact with people like Ian Bellamy and Stan Saltzman, and was, you know, Tim Garland, Julian C. It's incredible, the wealth of incredible saxophone players and everything else. But, you know, as a saxophone player, just starting to learn, I remember thinking, this is unbelievable that we have so many incredible saxophone players in the UK. And they're so generous as well. They're all such brilliant educators. And I kind of came into contact with all of them, I think, during my time studying. And it was brilliant. It really was so inspiring, and it kind of lit this fire for me that I still feel like I'm drawing on that same kind of well of inspiration and excitement about the music that I got from a lot of those people. So yeah, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity to have had to study in these places and come across these people at that really early point, because I think it also made me think very differently about the concept of having your own sound and having your own voice, because I think it would be easy to come to like basically be like, okay, Sonny Rollins, Dexter Gordon, Coltrane, and obviously there are loads more, and I have checked out all those people and I love those people, but I don't feel like I have to sound like one of those people in order to be a good jazz saxophone player. And I think in large part that's because of people like Mark and, you know, Stan Saltzman, Ian Bellamy, those people who have their own voice for sure and are incredibly, you know, technically proficient and creative people by anyone's estimation, but they don't necessarily sound like that. And I think that was really important to have that kind of awareness of that being a thing that you could do at that early stage.
It's important, yeah. Yes, Stan, I mean, I remember hearing Stan the first time with Kenny Wheeler. I was like, oh, wow.
Incredible. I did a gig of Kenny Wheeler music recently with Nick Smart, and Stan Saltzman came to watch, and it's one of the most scary situations ever, because I've been checking out like all the albums with Stan and Kenny on, and Stan just sounds absolutely unreal on it. It made me think like, oh God, I don't know. I don't know if I can tackle that. And then Stan just turns up, he's like, hi. It's like, oh God, okay. You're about to hear me play all the music that you pretty much created the sound of.
Yeah, beautiful.
Cool.
Emma, what's on the schedule for you for the upcoming months and weeks? Or, I mean, I saw on your website you're touring with your own band and with Gwilym. Are you mentioned like you're preparing already a new album, like what's happening on all these departments?
Yeah, there's lots of fun stuff coming up. Next week I'm doing a full week of gigs around Belgium, the Netherlands and Germany with Gwilym, which is going to be awesome. I think we're doing 6 gigs in 7 days, which is going to be awesome. And so that's going to be intense in a very good way. And then the other thing I'm really focusing on at the moment is writing a brand new set of music for the WDR Big Band.
Ooh, okay.
A huge bucket list moment for me. I'm doing a kind of project with them in March, and I'm writing 6 new pieces, and I'm on number 4. So it's going okay. But that's huge for me, and it's great to have the reason to spend so much time on big band writing.
You're going to do all the arrangements and everything yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've already kind of written a lot of big band music for my own jazz orchestra in the UK, but it's a unique opportunity to get to write so much in one go for a band as well. It's something I've not done before. I've done like the odd commission. I did something with the UMO big band earlier this year, but that was one piece, and this is 6. So, but it's great, and I'm really looking forward to it. That should be really cool. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time over the next couple of months kind of finalizing that, making sure everything's as good as I can make it. I'm planning some quartet music recording. I had the pleasure of doing, I think, 25 gigs just in the latter part of this year with my quartet, which I have kind of 2 working quartets, but one of them is with Asaf, Elliot Galvin, and Kevin Glasgow. And it really feels like we've kind of got to a really special place chemistry-wise in the band. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to record soon. And then I'm kind of planning an international thing next year, hopefully bringing together some musicians from all over the world that I've been really, really hoping to play with for a long time. But that's in its very early stages, so we'll see what happens. But I'm also next year I've got my first kind of orchestral commission. So it's a kind of insane time, honestly, but it's really, really cool, and it feels like a massive blessing to have so many different things to look forward to that are going to challenge me in such different ways as well. So it's busy. It's looking busy.
Oh, it's crazy busy. That's what's beautiful. Ride the wave.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really loving it. Honestly. It's I pinch myself every day. I'm like, what is this? Come on,
beautiful. You have it, so
Great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Say hi to Asaf, please, when you see him.
I will.
And if you're around in my corner of the world, drop me a line. We'll get together for dinner or whatever. So
that'd be lovely. Yeah, I will, certainly.
And stay strong and have nice gigs with Gwilym. And I'll let you know when this is out. I'll send you a link.
Yes, do. Thanks so much. Lovely to meet you on here.
Yeah, you too. And thanks for finding the time. So appreciate it.
So good. Lovely.
Okay. Bye.